Welcome to Elevated, a place where the mystical meets the everyday. I am Dawn, a stay-at-home mom to a wild and spirited boy, and a guide in the realms of Reiki, Akashic Records, natural healing, and soulful living. Here, we'll talk energy, intuition, spirituality, but also the realness of motherhood, wellness, and creating balance in the chaos of it all. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and join me as we explore healing, alignment, and the beauty of both the magical and the messy. Welcome to Elevated. Welcome to Elevated, beautiful souls. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing wonderful. I am having an absolutely wonderful week. There's been some ups, there's been some downs. There was one hard day, I'm not gonna lie. My son thought that getting up at 4:30 in the morning yesterday was a grand idea. I did not, but don't let it fool you. We took a nap. He took a nap, I took a nap, and it was wonderful. And life was wonderful. It was actually probably one of our better days for sure. I love when I can have an afternoon nap. I'm sorry. There's just something about an afternoon nap that just refreshes you and heals your soul. But I needed that nap too because I knew that I was going in and doing an Akashic journey with Kayla from Akasha Awakened. And I was like, if I do not take an afternoon nap, I'm probably going to fall asleep during that meditation. And I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be awake for the journey. I want to gain all the knowledge because I was very excited about this journey because we were meeting our ancestors. So I had my nap and it was wonderful. And today we lucked out and we got to go to our neighboring town and have story time in a teepee today. An Indigenous lady from another town close by came in and she read to the kids. She actually is an author and her books were really beautiful and had such great messages behind them. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to pick those books up for my son. And she brought her drums in and she was teaching the kids some songs and some Cree words. And I love Indigenous drums. I have a few. So I have a wave drum that my friend actually made, and that one's super cool. So when you're using it, you shake it back and forth and it sounds like the waves. It is so peaceful and so relaxing. I got that for my birthday 7 years ago, I would say. So that was beautiful. And then I have a drum that is made by D Capo. And it was in a pawn shop and I bought it in Saskatoon and it's cracked a little bit, like the wood piece is cracked, but I just love the hide on it. Like it's so beautiful. And I oil it up and I make it look all nice. And then my friend made me a drumstick for it. I absolutely love my drums. They're always displayed in my Reiki room and I do use them the odd time. So she was banging on her drum. She had this beautiful drum. She had some tassels from behind it coming down. It was very nice. And then she had this other drum that she actually got from the Inuit in Nunavut. And it was different. It had material stretched over it. And she didn't drum the material, she drummed the wood that was holding the material. So it was very beautiful. She said it didn't sound as good because it was humid out, which is very interesting. And then she had one that she did not bring out while all the kids were in the teepee, but we were just there at the end trying to get out and waiting. And I spied this drum and I pointed it out to my son. I said, look at that drum. Like, it has fur on it. So she had a drum that was made out of a goat's hide, but with the fur still on it. And I've never seen that. So she was polite enough to let us just tap it a little bit and drum it. And I, of course, wanted to be very gentle with it, not wreck it at all. But it was gorgeous. So that was our day today. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about my Akashic journey last night and then our day today where we went and had the story time in the teepee. And then we were also able to watch and be a part of an Indigenous celebration today. So that is what I want to talk about. And in honor of that, I thought today that I would pull my card, but I actually got two cards today from my Native American Oracle deck. I know it's not my normal Soul Helper Oracle, but it's so fitting. 100% it's super fitting. So I pulled two cards from the Native American Oracle cards. When I pull cards, I always give an intention as to what I want the listener to hear, or what does the listener need to hear when they are listening to this podcast. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to the day that it's released, if you're listening 6 months from now, if you're listening a year or 6 years from now, this is going to be what you need to hear. Two cards jumped out. The first one was card number 27, the medicine wheel. Equilibrium. The medicine wheel is a simple symbol representing everything humans need to know about the balance and connection with both earth and spirit. It is divided into four quarters, representing the directions and the seasons, along with many other associations. Also included are the three directions representing Father Sky, Mother Earth, and the sacred tree. In the image, we also see a medicine bag, which contains amulets chosen to cure or rebalance the energy of someone who is ill. Objects may include stones, roots, berries, coins, beads, and other small items. The message is with honest self assessment, you can determine the medicine you need in order to achieve well being. The key words are equilibrium, recovery, transformation, completeness, healing, and connection. And the time is Sunday. The second card that I pulled is card number 30, and it is smoke, purification. Smudging ceremonies are ways to release the medicine in certain herbs to obtain specific effects. Sage, sweetgrass, and cedar are often used for cleansing, healing, and shifting energies from negative to positive. Tobacco is used as an offering and honoring. Because the herbs come from the earth and smoke rises up, this ritual is a way to connect earth and heaven, ourselves and spirit. The use of fire to release the herb medicine is also symbolic of the idea of trial by fire, a way of eliminating the useless and releasing the useful. Message. Before moving on, make sure your own motives are pure and your actions tempered with beneficial energy. Keywords: purification, transformation, overcoming negative behaviors, seeking direction, out with the old and in with the new. And the time is 6 to 12 months. Those are our cards. And I just thought it was so fitting, like I said, for today because of my meeting the ancestors and going and having such a wonderful adventure today. I just felt called to use my Native American Oracle deck. Let's get into my meditation last night. So, the guided Akashic journey was with Kayla from Akashic Awakened, and I have done numerous guided Akashic journeys with her. Between Walk on the Wild Side, we do probably 6 of them just in that course. I've done Creatrix with her, which I believe was another 6. I've done Unbound with her, which was 1 or 2, maybe 3. I've done some on my own. So I'm very well versed in these Akashic journeys, and I kind of know what to expect. So before getting into the journey, of course, me being who I am, I like to know things. I like to overanalyze things. I think it has something to do with my moon sign and the fact that it's in, I believe it was the third house, Gemini, if I'm not mistaken. And that being said, it makes me want to overanalyze a lot of things and have all of the knowledge before I go and do something. So I will overstudy, 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 and never think that I'm ready for anything. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going into this guided Akashic journey. It's to meet my ancestors. And I was like, typically, if I was to meet my ancestors, I'd probably want to have some questions, some ideas of what I want from my ancestors. We were to make an intention, which I did do beforehand because I'm realizing how important intentions are. You can call them prayer, you can call them intentions, you can call them asking for help or service. So I set my intention and I'm thinking a couple of days prior, what do I want to get from this Akashic journey? What do I want to get from my ancestors? What information do I need to hear from them? And I sent Kayla a message. We were actually talking about Chiron moving into Taurus. And then something came up or whatever. And I mentioned the meditation. And I was like, yeah, I just don't know what I want to, like, what I need to hear from them. Do I need to have everything set in place or can I just go in lower all walls and barriers and expectations and just see what comes up. And he goes, just go in and see what comes up. So I was like, yeah, that's a great idea actually. That I feel like that's what I need to do right now because typically for me, I would have thought, okay, I'm needing to deal with my ancestors in my anger. Well, if you listen to last week's podcast, which is episode 41, the anger wasn't mine. That's already been dealt with. I did an Akashic sort of journey and meditation. And with emotion code, we released that, which I am glad to say that it's been 2 weeks for sure, if not 3 weeks, and no anger. No anger. Life is actually really joyful right now. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm still thinking, I was like, what? Like, is there something that I need? Is there something that I should be bringing forth? Is there a question that I should have? Like, is there a past life that I want to go into that I need to know? Because you're meeting your ancestors. So I really didn't come up with anything. I was like, whatever. I'm like, I'm going to trust that what I need to hear is going to come up. I've never done this one with her, so I don't know how the guided meditation is going to go. And I was like, just have trust. And sometimes I find it hard to have trust, but I was like, okay, I can trust. I can do that. So we get into the guided Akashic journey. And me being who I am lately, I got myself into like the Reiki part where I could go into the past. There is a way when you are a Reiki practitioner, level 2, and your masters, you will learn how to go into future self, past lives. You can do that. So I went into the past, took myself into there so that I could have just that one extra layer. We're going to get into this meditation. And it was amazing because for the first time, I realized that with a meditation with Kayla, I did not struggle seeing anything. I saw things. My third eye was open. And I was like, this has been so long. Usually, when I do a meditation with Kayla, I'll get black. I can maybe get the odd feeling, the odd sense of something, but there's no pictures with it. And I had pictures this time. Like I was like living this. So that was amazing. I was super excited about that. And we get up to the Akashics and our ancestor is starting to walk towards us. And I am nervous. I'm standing there nervous. I have no idea why I'm nervous. There's some animals around me and I'm talking to these animals, having full on conversations with them as my ancestor is approaching me. Now, my ancestor was a black figure. I didn't get anything more than that. So that was the only black part that I got. So I, of course, want to redo it and see if we can like get a little bit more detail and see a little bit more. But at one point, she goes, is this a maternal ancestor or a paternal ancestor? And for me, I really couldn't get the answer. I tried doing a muscle test. I'm really getting that it's both. And I was like, again, you don't have to have either or, it can be both. I allowed it to be both because if you listen to episode 37, where I talk about breaking family cycles through ancestral healing and awareness, I know that on both sides, paternal and maternal, that I am connected to my ancestors and there is a job that I am to be doing in this lifetime on both sides. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this was part of it. And we walk and we walk. And as we're walking, I'm talking to the animals, and my ancestor and I aren't talking, and they're just taking me to a place, to a scene that I need to go to. So we get to this place, and it's a cave. And I'm like, okay, we're back in cave times. This is not the first time that I've had a journey where I've been in a cave, but in a cave, and I'm a healer. Call me a shaman, call me an elder of a tribe. I don't know. It's caveman times. I don't know. Did they have those back then? I don't really know. But I'm the healer and I'm healing animals, hence why I can talk to the animals. I'm healing adults, I'm healing children, I'm healing babies, I'm healing the sick, I'm giving knowledge to people that need knowledge. It's not always just about physical healing, but it's the knowledge part, the education part, the explaining and awareness. Like, and I have a lineup of people, and I mean a lineup of people to the point where there is no denying that this lineup is never going to end. Like, it's just as far as I can see, it's one after the other. It's almost like I never sleep. I'm just healing the people from little elements to big elements to massive situations. Like I said, it's just healing, healing, healing knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. And then that scene ends, and we were then asked to go to a different scene. And as we were transitioning, for whatever reason, I've never, ever had this happen in a journey or meditation, but I literally felt like I was levitating on my bed and tipping like back and forth to the sides. I was like, this is crazy. So crazy right now. I loved it. I thought it was like just great because I've never had that, right? I was like, wow, I'm thinking this is wonderful. So we get to another part where we had to see where the karmic loop, if you will, started, like where the ancestral pain started, where the ancestral belief started. And when I was there, well, not even where it started, but what the ancestral belief was, what the ancestral line needs healing from. And of course, I chuckle because I am taken back to the tribal time where my life was ended prematurely, we will say. And if you want to hear more about that, I talk about it in episode 33, what shadow work revealed about my past lives and karmic patterns. So basically, I'm this child under a year old and my life was ended. And I'm in my journey too. I kind of chuckle. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I thought for in my own mind, I thought I dealt with this, but I hadn't. So as I'm there, I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, I am bombarded with the thoughts of not being good enough, not being worthy, not being loved, not being smart enough, not having enough knowledge, someone to be afraid of. My life was ended because of the fact that I had very special gifts, a very strong healer. And all of that came up that it's not mine. It's an ancestral trauma. It's the ancestral pattern that my lineage has. And I started to cry when I realized that it wasn't mine. Because in this lifetime, I've held on to a lot of I don't have enough knowledge and I'm not smart enough. And I overstudy to compensate for that. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not loved. I'm not needed. I'm not wanted. Just a whole bunch of these feelings and beliefs that aren't mine. They're all inherited. And I think because last week when I talked about my anger not being mine, even in this meditation, I was able to see how I'm like, okay, we're Akashic journeying again, and we're bringing in the emotion code and we are releasing this, not just for myself, but for my ancestors as well, so that we can clear this karmic pattern because we don't need it anymore. It's not serving us anymore. It's what I'm here to do. I'm here to be a healer for not just myself and my ancestral line, but for so many other people in this world that are dealing with the karmic patterns and the karmic hurts and the karmic trauma, if you will. And then what I got in a little bit later scene, and again, we kind of switched scenes. And I think at that point, it was who is this sort of affecting? Like, who in our current life and past life, like, who is this affecting? And again, as we're switching, I feel like I'm levitating and I'm rocking back and forth and all this. And then all of a sudden, I get people in my life currently right now that I am connected with. Again, you want to learn more about that, listen to episode 37, Breaking Family Cycles Through Ancestral Healing and Awareness. And I know who I'm connected with. And all of a sudden, I'm like, the words depression, heart, back, lungs, just different places in the body, different things that we're dealing with. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, again, the emotion code, the body code, this can help to alleviate not pain for me per se, like my heart, definitely. My heart has the heart wall, but not just that, but I was like, parts of our ancestral line that we have that I can work on through this and release it not just for myself, but for my ancestral line. And it was just so profound to me. And I love ancestral work because I feel like a lot of what we are carrying, especially nowadays, is inherited. And it's not so much inherited from this lifetime. It's not so much inherited from our parents, but it's literally passed down from generation to generation to generation, ancestral line to ancestral line. And if you ever stop and really look on the big picture of things, When your grandma is pregnant with your mom, and it doesn't matter if you're female or male in this degree, you are getting any traumas that she has, your grandmother. Then you get your mom's traumas. And maybe it doesn't fully apply to men as much, but definitely for women. So, your grandma, when she's pregnant with your mom, the embryo of your mom and the fetus at that point in time, because she is female, the fetus and embryo, so your mom is forming in her eggs that she will have for reproduction. So, whatever trauma your grandma has, therefore, is passed on to your mom, but also passed on to you because your mom's eggs are forming that already. Like they're being formed while she is in the womb. So essentially, no matter how you look at it, trauma is definitely three generations. Ancestral healing would be three generations for sure. Starts with your grandma to your mom, then to you. And that's where I say, even like if you're male, it'll still be passed down to you because your mom's eggs were formed when she was in the womb to her mom. So it's still being passed down. You still have it within your body as a male or a female. Now, if you're female, again, that is getting passed down to your kids. If you're a male, it sort of stops with you because your sperm isn't being produced when you're in the womb. But definitely, when you stop and you think about that, to me, it's very profound. And so I see how all of the generations, all of the ancestral lines, I see how this is being carried forth. A lot of what I'm reading right now and a lot of what I'm studying right now is about how trauma stays in our bodies. So it could be big trauma, it could be little trauma, maybe ancestral trauma. It's all within our bodies and we need to release it, which is what I love so much about body code. And I'm studying body code right now so we can release that. So that was my meditation. And I walked away from the meditation with this idea and this profoundness of it's not mine. Like, it's not mine. It's not my belief. Do I need to heal it for my ancestral line? Yes, but it's not mine. And for so long, I've been like, oh my gosh, like holding on to this almost in a way. And like it's been weighing me down. And I feel so much lighter, joyful, and I'm happy. And, I understand so much more because of this. And it was beautiful. And I can't wait to do the meditation again because I got the replay and you know it. You know, I'm going to be back in there because this stuff I love ancestral work so much. It's like the last 3, 4 months, I would say it's just been like massive ancestral line that I'm learning. I see it in my line, especially with Walk on the Wild Side, kind of how that got portrayed out. But then as well, when I took David's class, which are episode 36, is the hidden emotional causes of physical symptoms. And then episode 37, which is breaking family cycles through ancestral healing and awareness. And even then episode 38, where we go into the professions and what that means, it was just so eye opening for me. And it just adds even more into the ancestral line and everything that I love to learn. And then you go into last week's episode, which is 41, about the anger wasn't mine and how that was an inherited emotion. And now I'm just like, look at all these inherited emotions that aren't mine. And knowing how profound that one was, I can't wait to release all of these that aren't mine. But I just also look at it as I'm helping myself, like I'm healing myself, and I know that. But on the larger scale, I'm healing 7 generations before me or more for sure. And then 7 generations after me. So I look at it, I'm like, I'm healing my son. I'm healing my brother who I couldn't save. And I talk about that in last week's episode as well, but I'm healing him. I'm healing my grandma. I'm healing my grandparents and my great grandparents and so many people. And I'm healing my family right now. And it is the greatest feeling in the world to heal, which brings me then into today where we had this beautiful, beautiful day where we, like I said, we went to the teepee and Carol was reading her stories that she writes, and they're very beautiful stories. And they're mostly about learning and growing and like how you're an artist and how you know more than what you think you know. And the last book, where it's you know more than what you think you know, it's also talking with the grandpa at the end of the story and the two children in it, the cousins absolutely love that time of the day where they get to sit down and listen to grandpa's stories. And to me, I was like, I just took that in as like the ancestral line. Like, I just love that. Right. And then after the story time, we went and we got to be a part of a Indigenous ceremony. And they had the big Mother Earth drum. I believe it was 5 drummers sitting in the circle and they're drumming. And just the sound of it is so beautiful. And they're singing in their language, and they're so loud, and not like in a bad way, but they're so loud, and I sat there, I was like, "They're just using their throat chakras, and they're healing so much," and I don't know in their language because they were Cree, I don't know what the words they're saying mean. I have no idea, and it was just so beautiful listening to them. And then we had the dancers. And it wasn't a powwow where it was a whole big group of dancers. Like they didn't have like 5 dancers of the same type of dance going on. It was one specific dancer for each of the dances that they were doing. And I believe there was 6 dances. And they had the lady who was, well, we'll start even before the dancers. So they had the elder come out and she did an offering to this rock. So this huge rock was placed at the museum where this event was happening. And I couldn't hear if it was for that event that they placed it or if that rock was always there. But she was talking about how the energy of the rock is from the earth. And I mean, you feel rocks, you pick up rocks, you go to the crystal store, they have an energy, they have a frequency, they have a vibration, and you can feel that. She was talking about how this rock had this energy and how now whenever anyone touches this rock, they're going to get that energy, especially from Mother Earth. And Mother Earth has created this beautiful rock and this beautiful planet and the beautiful scenery that we have. She's talking about this connection that we have with Mother Earth into the divine energy, universal life force energy, but they call it creator, which is great. So, how it has that connection from above, below, and then they talked about the medicine wheel, which we just learned about with the card pull as well. And then she talked about how, had she had a lighter, she would sage this rock, but she didn't have a lighter. And no one offered her a lighter, which was so weird. I was like, out of all of the adults that are here, not have a lighter? Maybe no one like picked up on that or something. Anyways, and maybe she didn't have sage with her. I don't know. But she had the tobacco and she offered the tobacco, which is how they start all of their ceremonies, apparently, is with tobacco. And it was just so beautiful. And I'm just sitting there, I was like, ooh, like I sage and I use cedar. I love cedar. I'm addicted to cedar trees. My favorite, favorite tree in the world is cedar trees. They're so big. The smell of them, I just love cedar trees. So I use cedar, but you can use sage. And I will actually go to our land and pick sage because we are very lucky that we live on sacred land and we do have sage around where we are. So I will do that and then I will burn that as well. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I could probably start offering tobacco. So before I do an Akashic Records read or before I do Reiki or something, I was like, ooh, we got to get this in their repertoire. I love that idea. And then after the elder was done, she sat down and then they started bringing out all the different dancers. And the dancers were amazing. And I'm not 100% sure of all of the dances that they did. One was a hunting dance. So before they would go out and hunt, they would do a dance, obviously, to ask Creator to help them with their hunt and to be able to find an animal that they could bring back and feed their family with. And of course, we know that they used pretty much everything off of that animal. So the guy was dancing and doing his thing and you could see like the hunting moves and stuff like that. That was really profound. Then they had one where it was a lady and she was dancing for Mother Earth and connecting with Mother Earth. So she didn't actually lift her feet that high off the ground. And it wasn't like a very like vibrant, big gestured dance. It was very small and subtle. And like she was just having this really intimate moment with Mother Earth. And then they brought in this little boy. And my son loved him. It was his favorite dancer. And when he first saw him, because he doesn't understand like the headdresses or their outfits or anything. And this little boy, he had like nice feathers and they were black and they were yellow and white. And he's like, Mom, there's a bumblebee. And I was like, No, sweetie. I'm like, It's not a bumblebee. And my son loves bumblebees. And so he really wanted to watch this boy. And he was just so intrigued. And this boy got up, and I don't know exactly what his dance was about. I forget now because there was just so many dances, but he was like big, massive gestures. And my God, his dance was amazing, like amazing. And he maybe 8. Like, he was young, and it was just so beautiful. Then there was a girl that did one where she was more like the butterfly, and that was sort of her dance. Then there was a girl that had they're actual circles that they literally bend and shape into cones, and those hang off of her dress. And as she's jingling, that I believe and I'm just trying to like remember what I heard today. There's just a lot going on, but that was again an offering to Mother Earth and to have the frequency of Mother Earth through these cones. I just love those because the more that you get, the more it jingles and it just sounds great. The one guy that did the hunting dance, he had cowbells that would jingle. And then there was another one, he didn't do like big movements whatsoever, but he actually just had jingle bells on him. And so he had the bell sounds, but hers, they're just these cone shapes and they're quiet. You had to physically shape those by hand. Like you couldn't buy them shaped. You had to physically shape them. It was just unbelievable to think like you had to shape all those by hand. The one thing that I did notice is that there wasn't a lot of beadwork with the outfits. And then they had this girl at the very end. She's called a hoop dancer. Never heard of that before. And I don't even know how many hoops she had, but of course they look like they're hula hoops, but they're actually soft and pliable. And she basically did an interpretation of an baby eagle in the nest and what the baby eagle sees well in the nest before it can start taking flight. She like used these hoops and made this stuff and it was amazing how she did it. And at one point she would get them all around her body and she was able to take these hoops and make it look like she was an eagle flying. And it was just beautiful. And she would place these hoops a certain way and be able to pick them up a certain way to create things. And she actually, I don't even know, maybe she's like 4 or 5, but she made like earth out of these hoops. And she just like picked one up and it was like perfectly a round ball out of these hoops. And she just set it down gently. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful dance. And it was so nice to see all the dances and to see their culture in that way. And for me, going into the fact that I just had an ancestral meditation the night before and a Akashic journey with them, like I know, obviously, we know through all of my stories on my podcast, and especially episode 33, where it's what shadow work revealed about my past lives and karmic patterns, we know that I had tribal times. I was tribal. So I was indigenous and just brought back so much. But the best part was all day I watched my son and he loved the teepee, being in the teepee and the drums from the lady and the stories. Like he was so engaged. I've never seen him that comfortable and engaged. Like he was singing the songs and he was making the sounds. And because there was a larger crowd of people, usually he'd be pretty reserved. And yes, we were in the back, but he felt so comfortable doing that. And I was like, is this because you've been part of tribal times before? Because you are indigenous, you have that indigenous ancestral lineage? Like, I know I do. Do you as well? And then when he was watching the dancers, like he got up and he was dancing with every song. He was dancing and moving his body and like he doesn't normally do that. Then they actually called up some of the kids could come up and like do a dance. And the cool part about this is it was a community event. So the school was actually there. Grades, I believe it was 1 to 7 were there and they were dancing. and the kids were moving their bodies and dancing and having a great time. And there was some of his play school kids were there as well. So he felt comfortable. His friends were there. And then at the very end, to end it all, after the whole ceremony was done, and we thanked the dancers and they did their last dance around and closed the ceremony off, and the drummers. And again, I'm just amazed at the drummers and how there was 5 of them and they were so loud, but in such unison, and it was such a beautiful loudness, like the throat chakra. It was just absolutely beautiful. But at the very end, all of us got up and we all circled around and we all held hands and we did the circle dance. And I think we made like 3, 4, 5 circles, all of us. And we danced around in this circle dance. And it was so beautiful. Even now, I am grateful that we were a part of this event today. And just after, like I said, the whole ancestral Akashic journey last night, and like, I know that I'm tribal. I know that I have Indigenous ancestors and past lives. I know that. And I've always sort of known that in all of my life. It's always been something I've been very interested in and wanting to know more of. But to see it today and to be a part of it in such a way, it really like healed me. And the whole message to today was about healing and love and compassion and inclusion. Just felt it and saw it today. And it was so beautiful. And you could tell, I mean, again, you got grades 1 to 7. There's some kids that are like, hey, this is just a fun part of the day where we don't have to do any classwork for 2 hours. But there were people that really took it in. There were people that absorbed so much, that just felt it and could feel the energy and the frequency and the beauty of it all. And like I said, I'm just so grateful that we got to do that. I'm so grateful that my journey the night before too, it just kind of like rounded it all out. And I just love the message of healing, love, inclusion, compassion. And you could just see us being one, which when you really stop and you really look at it and you really think about it, we are one. We are all from divine, creator, source, whatever you want to call it, God, however you want to word it, it doesn't matter. But we all are one. Our ancestors have been here and we are offspring of our ancestors. We are our ancestors. When you really, really want to go for a mind boggle, we're our ancestors. Who's to say that that person that came and got me wasn't me? This ancestor from, 100, I don't know, more than 100 years ago, but thousands of years ago. But yet, really, it could have just been me. Wow. Just my thoughts on all of this. It was just amazing. It was such a great day. It was such a great Akashic journey. I want to take you along a little bit more in my Akashic journeys and talk about them because sometimes I feel we can do this work. It can be so profound for us, but sometimes just talking about it and bringing you along, maybe there's some information in that that you can pick up that can help you and can heal you. Maybe now you're sitting back and you're like, hey, I wonder if that is an inherited belief. I wonder if that is really me. And it's funny because before I got on to do this podcast today, I was taking my shower because, again, I was like with a whole bunch of people and I just needed to cleanse my energy. So that's what I do. And I was thinking about it and I was like, I had Kuan Yin last year in Walk on the Wild Side in the program that I did. And she is about compassion and love. But the one thing that I was to learn from her was to love me. But in order to love me, I need to know who I am. And so I was sitting there and I was like, okay, but I've thought I'm this person. Like I thought I was an angry person. I thought that, I wasn't lovable. I thought that I'm not smart enough. I thought that I'm not worthy enough. I thought that I'm not good enough. And then I sat there and I was like, but if those are all inherited, they're not me. They're just an inherited trait. And I am not that person. And then I listened to Jackie Carter, who I've had on the podcast. Episode 24, Jackie Carter was on, and then, which is What If Nothing Is Wrong with You? Mostly on episode number 28, Being You, Breaking Barriers, and Embracing Self Awareness. Those 2 episodes, Jackie talks about being you and finding you. And what if that isn't who you truly are. I got it, but not on such a level that I seem to be getting it right now, where it's like all these inherited traits or beliefs that aren't ours, but yet we really truly do think that they are ours. So maybe one thing that we should do this week is sit down and really think about what card number 27 from the card pull today, which is medicine wheel, was asking. With honest self assessment, you can determine the medicine you need in order to achieve well being. But maybe what we'll do is sit down and do an honest assessment of ourselves. What do you feel is truly yours? What do you feel isn't truly yours? It's going to be hard because for the longest time, I would have told you 100% that me not being good enough, me not being worthy enough, me not being knowledgeable enough was mine. Go in deep, do some journaling. Maybe write that out at the very top of your journal. Sit down and write. I always start off my journals as dear source creator. I really like creator. So I'm like, dear creator. And then I might add in like my higher self, my guides. Sometimes if a loved one has passed, I'll put their names in there too. I'm also a channeler, so I will get information that way. But I do believe that majority of us, if we are writing and we don't think about what we're writing and we just let the pen hit the paper, the words will flow. The information will come out. Your higher self will channel to you, and maybe it's not a loved one or a spirit guide or something like that, but it'll be your higher self will channel to you. And you can write to them and ask them that question. What am I holding on to that is not mine? What inherited belief, what inherited trait do I have, or traits, beliefs that I have that are not mine, that are ready to be released? Write it out. If writing isn't something that you're good with, maybe using your throat chakra and having a conversation. The greatest thing right now is that we all have hands free in our vehicles. Go in your vehicle, start driving, have a conversation to yourself. It's not really to yourself, it's to your higher self, it's to your guides, it's to source creator, but have that conversation. If you're being open and you're willing to receive, the information will come as if you're literally having a conversation. You'll start talking and the information's going to come in as if someone else is right beside you giving you that information. Ask the questions, have the aha moments. You can do that just by talking, writing, talking. You could do meditations as well. Find any sort of music that you're interested in that relaxes you and you can sit down, you can put it on. It doesn't have to be a guided meditation, but you can have an active meditation, which is where you can go in and you can ask for your ancestors to come and you're an active participant in the meditation. So you're not waiting for things to come up and happen, but you can ask your ancestor, you can ask your guides, like, okay, I'm not understanding. Can you show me more clearly? You can ask, can you take me to a time where something was inherited that isn't mine? You can ask that and they will come and they will do that. And then if you get stuck, just ask another question. Ask to go to a different scene. Ask if this is all that there is. Is there more? There's so many ways to connect. It would be interesting if you took the time and you connect what came up as yours, but what came up as inherited. It really would be interesting. I know for myself, I'm going to make time this week and I'm going to do this Akashic journey again because I just know that there's more. But and the other thing to know is when you do these as well, whether if you're journaling, going for a drive and talking it out or meditating, there will be sometimes an integration period. So it could always be up to 3 days, 72 hours after where information is coming in. So always pay attention to your dreams. That's the other one too. You could always ask just before going to bed to meet with your ancestors and have them come to you in your dreams with the answers as well. Sometimes when we're in dream state, it's easier for us to do that. And then pay attention to little synchronicities, little things. And that's kind of what I did today, right? Like I knew what we were going into. I knew that we were going to go to the teepee and we were going to have story time. And I knew that there was a celebration afterwards. I didn't realize how much I personally would get out of it. The knowledge, the feelings, and it's so hard to describe. It's wonderful. It is. And I just love working with the ancestors. I love working with inherited beliefs and past lives. I've always been interested in the past lives when it came to the Akashic Records. And now I just have like one extra step of the ancestors in there that I can bring them forth as well. I love finding karmic blocks, like not just in this lifetime, but our limiting beliefs from previous lifetimes as well. What did we bring in? I love just clearing the slate. And that's how I look at it. It's clearing the slate. It's just, why carry that? Why carry forth things that aren't yours? Why carry forth a limiting belief that isn't serving you anymore? It used to, for sure. At one point in time, it did. It served you, but it doesn't anymore. Why carry that? It would be like you literally walking around, if you want to have like a physical image of it, putting rocks into a bag and carrying these massive, heavy rocks with you. Yeah, maybe at one point in time, that rock served a purpose. That rock was a life force for you, and it was going to keep you surviving and living. Like maybe it was one where you could build a fire by hitting them together. So you had two of them. Maybe it's one that you could use to kill an animal for your food. Maybe they were to build shelter with. Like they had their purpose. But now you don't need them anymore. Why are you still carrying them and weighing yourself down? Now that we have a lighter, get rid of the two rocks to make the fire and use the lighter. That's a heck of a lot lighter for starters, easier to carry. You have a stable house, like you have a set house. You don't need to carry the rocks now to build a house from place to place to place to place. You don't. You have a house that's in one spot that you return to every single day. You don't need a rock to go out and kill your food. You have food sources that you can get at the grocery store if you're looking at this day and age. Do you see what I mean? There's just no need to carry all those rocks when you don't need to. So why are we still carrying them? How about we put those rocks down? How about we lighten our load? How about we clean our slate? And on that, I want to thank you for being here today. If you want to connect with me, you can do so at my website at elevatedsoulhealing.com. If you want to book services with me, I do Akashic Records reads, I do Reiki, I do emotion code, I do talk to animals. If your animal needs a Reiki session, if your animal needs an Akashic Records read, I can do that as well for you. Go to my services. I will link that below. I will link my website below. If you want to reach out to me, if you have questions, if your podcast ideas, anything like that, definitely feel free to reach out to me at elevatedsoulhealing@gmail.com, and that will be linked as well. If you want to follow me on Instagram, if you want to follow me on Facebook, those links will be below as well. Lighten our load. Let's put those rocks down. We don't need to carry them anymore. So I thank you so much for being here today. I hope you got something out of this podcast. Hope you saw how beautiful going in and healing and cathartic working with our ancestors can be. And through the Akashics, we can definitely do that. Thank you so very much for being here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love you. Thank you.